Hey everybody, DayTraderRockStar here, and welcome to a watch list video after the most historic day, one of the more historic days in the market. I'm sending out this video for a couple of different reasons. First, to welcome a lot of new listeners, a lot of new trial users. We just came back from the trade show. We had the Traders Expo down in Brooklyn this weekend, and while we were down there, futures opened up limit down Sunday night. We ended up leaving, bugging out of the city about 7:30 this morning. Made it back to the office and did the show right at the open. And luckily for us, not that lucky for anybody else, but the market kind of halted in the morning. It was the first time in 20 years they had a limit down halt, and it halted. So we were able to get into the markets and actually be right on schedule. So welcome to the markets, especially if you're a newer trader out there. Like I said, if you're new to day trading radio, well, I put out these videos, especially after a very big day like this. But normally I'll do a watch list video every Friday for the members. But because of the circumstances right now, we're going to review some things and get you ready for tomorrow. You're looking at the dashboard here, and a couple other things I want to do, because this is going out to a lot of the new trials and you're not familiar with the dashboard. This is how you get into the chat room up here. A lot of people don't see that sometimes. It's kind of hidden. So up on the top here where it says chat, you click on that flash chat or the HTML5 chat. Everything else here is pretty much, you should get a video, or you should actually get an email describing the how to use the platform and stuff. And this is my screen. You can see this is the live futures update, and you can see right now the futures are up 72 points. So there's these are moves that we haven't seen since the flash crash, or back in the early 2000s when we had some really big events that moved the market. So this is historical in nature. 74 points up higher on the futures tonight. Today, just to kind of give you a readout, the Dow was down 2,013 points. 2,013 points. The NASDAQ was down 624 points, and the S&P was down 225 points. It's just incredible. And this all started, it has a lot to do with the coronavirus, but it really was sparked by when Saudi Arabia lowered oil prices and boosted their output to counteract Russia, who pulled away from the median and didn't want to do anything. So they kind of screwed Russia. They screwed everyone. And boy, did they put this market in the tailspin. Crude settled down the session 24% lower, or about $10.23 to 31.09 a barrel, for the worst decline since 1991. 1991, should have you told. And again, that's about a 20% toll on the S&P 500 energy sector. So, all this helping with the market going down, not to mention the corona, not to mention everything was kind of, getting hit at the time. But this is rebounding. And what I'm going to do today, other than just kind of give you a fast introduction one more time to the dashboard, as you can see, when you log in, when you took that trial, actually, I'll go out for you for a second here, and I want to show you this. You're just going to log out here. And then this is the outside of the site. So if you scroll down here, you can see there's a 10-day free trial. Click on that. Fill out your name, your email address, your username, password. Send it in. Click on continue. It's over here. It's hidden down here. And then you'll get an email back saying you're approved. And then again, like I said, you go right into the site, right up here, members area. Click on it. Put in your password, your username and password, and don't tell me it's not working. I'm locked out of the site. There it is. And then this will pop up just like that. You'll see everything as it is. Now, there's a lot of different things on here. I won't go into the whole dashboard. You'll learn about that as you go along. But just the chat is the important part. If you click on the chat room will pop up. And then it'll automatically put in your screen name that you have, your username. I have one at the office, so I'll just put down a 2 right now. And then that'll open up, and you'll see about 100 people in the chat room tonight. Probably doing a lot of people are going to be trading overnight here. But normally we have a full house in there, and there's a lot of people in there. So So let's get into this. What I want to also go over is the market conditions, what we're getting set up for tomorrow. All right, market's actually pushing higher. We're up 70, almost 80 points, and you can see that the futures are moving up tick by tick here. So this is actually probably a very good trading night for people out there. I said I might even get on the air and kind of walk you through the markets, but this might be the best I could do right now. So we're going to take a look at the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is basically, that's our benchmark. It has 500 stocks in it. It gives a good overview of the overall market instead of doing the Dow or Dow 30, the Nasdaq 100, which has not as many stocks and doesn't really give you a good cross section of the market. So I always kind of do my analysis on the S&P 500, but we could do the analysis in the way I teach the analysis and teach technical analysis. We could get that across any platform, but we're going to concentrate on the S&P 500 right now. As you can see, here's our big candle today. Huge candle to the downside, and this is on the daily time frame, and each candle represents each day of the thing. And you can see we've been rallying for years. We've been rallying. We had a couple good pullbacks. The last big pullback, and then we're going to have to pay attention to this, was in 2018, and that was that Christmas pullback. Remember, we really sold off. Jerome Powell said something to kind of spook the markets, and the market just sold off until we got into December 26th, where we had the Santa Claus rally. That really bottomed, and then we've been running up ever since. And there's been a couple pullbacks along the way, but this is a fast and furious drop, and it kind of reset us all the way back. And this is what I want to show you something right now. So what I do is I kind of cleaned up the chart. Normally I have all my lines up here, but I want to show you some different levels that we're going to pay attention to. Now, we know support and resistance lines are usually based on horizontal areas that the market has tested or came back and held, so we could watch that. And you could actually see back here in June, that little low back here actually came right into place right now. The market pulled back to this June low. Now, there is a low back here, and there is definitely an opportunity to get down there if the market sees fit or there's more bad news. But I want to talk to you why I don't think that's going to happen. But another thing that I like to pay attention to is channels. And these channels sometimes are a little bit harder to see. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go out. There's all different ways of reading trend lines. But what I'm seeing is this last from October to January in 2018, this big range here. All right, from this big range, this high right here, I want to connect this high, and I want to remember this bottom is always going to be part of my chart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a trend line, I want to put it at this recent high, and I want to extend it to today or the recent high here. All right, and this is called what we're building here is what we call a 1-2-3 pattern. A 1-2-3 pattern, as I coined that name. We're really working off of 3 pivots. A pivot is when the market goes from one direction to another direction. So we kind of have that turn in the market, call it a pivot. So here's your pivot right here. It goes up, then it comes down. Here's another pivot going down, going up. Here's a smaller pivot going up, going down. Here's another pivot. These are all different pivots, but that's what a pivot is. So we always want to start our trend lines at the pivot. I want to get rid of this so I don't want to confuse you or anything. And now the simple part is you find that lower trend line. You find that lower trend, or you've defined that lower trend line or channel line or a wedge pattern. You want to just before this even happened. All right, so this is what we're going to do. And we did this before this even happened. So not to say that, what do you see here? Let me get my charts here, just moving back here. Let's just pretend this is what we have right now. Market starts pulling back, but we have a good pivot there, and we have that pivot. So I want to grab that line. I want to create a parallel trend line. Now I'm doing this on the TC2000. There's whatever charting program you could use, you could do that. So I'm going to make a parallel line. I'm going to just drop it down to that level right here, just to the bottom of that pivot area. And I don't know, it doesn't have to hit anything. I just want to put that parallel trend line in there. I'm not worried about it at all. I'm just going to let it continue to extend as far as out to infinity, and I want to wait for that price to get back up to that level. Now we also have some support lines here too. A support line back here. Now you can put those in there if you want now, or I can put them in later. And then we kind of wait for the market to get to where we're going to look at it this now. Let me see if I can move it over here a little. So the market's here, comes down, and all of a sudden it crashes. It gets down to a level, and look where it comes down to. Let's get rid of this line right here for now. It comes right down to that lower trend line. Now that lower trend line it was just a parallel line from 1, 2, 3. That's the idea of a 1, 2, 3 pattern. 1, 2, 3. You trade 4, 5, and 6. All right, basic concept, basic charting, a little bit more of reading into the chart instead of reacting to it. You're planning out your trade. So this became a big level for us to look to trade off of it. So right now the price is right on that trend line. All right. The other thing again we could say is, all right, is there any other support lines? Now we did measure out a support line before. It was the June low. Let's just kind of throw that in there. And here you go. Wow. And this is what we call an X marks the spot. These are where two channel lines or a support line cross. And that area of influence is X marks the spot, and it's usually a good level where you see the market react. Now, there's a lot of news out there. Not to say that bad news doesn't come out, and the president gets the coronavirus tomorrow. I'm sure it's going to send the market spiraling down further. But these are the levels we want to be really looking at. Now, this is on your daily chart, so I would consider this very bullish. We have a trend line. We have the beginning of a divergence set up here, meaning our price is much lower than the recent low. All right. Here's your first low right here, and then we just drag that down. But what we're seeing is the stochastics, and it hasn't turned up yet to really confirm this, but we could read into this. We could see the stochastics haven't broken down to lows like the stochastics were at this point. They're actually holding up pretty good. You have the 9.3 and the 14.3. This one's holding above the 20 line. We have an explosive rally tomorrow or a bounce. There's a good opportunity that these daily stochastics are going to turn back up, and we're going to have a pure divergence play. That's going to be a very big buy signal. And added on to that buy signal is going to be the weekly chart. So let's go out to the weekly right here. The other thing I was waiting for, and we were talking about this a couple weeks ago when we were at this point in the market, we were looking down here, and I said, well, the last time we were down here on the weekly, see this over here? Let me move this. This line right here. This is the stochastics on the weekly. The last time we got under this red line, which is our 20 line, which really kind of gives us just a range into what we call an oversold level. Underneath this red line, it's an oversold. The last time we came down here was back here, and from that point, once we got into an oversold level, we kind of rallied very excited. And before that, last time we got down there was over here, and from that point, it was a little pullback, and we had a huge rally. And before there, it was a nice pullback, and there was a huge rally from there. And we could go on and on and on and on. So we have now a weekly oversold level. We have a possible daily divergence. We have a rise in trend line. We have a support line. And look at the 200 period moving average here. We didn't get to the 200 yet. But if we got down to that was a big trigger. And the market really does hold that 200 really well. Back here, all the way back in 2016, it came down to it. 2019, it came down to it. Back here, all the way to 2011, 2012, it came. So this is a huge, huge level we're approaching right now. Question is, do we bounce off the trend line? Do we make a kind of an extended move down and get to that 200 period moving average and then bounce? We're almost there. I mean, we could easily do that tomorrow. So I would be a buyer of this market into that 200 period moving average, depending if this is not like, the end of the world type of news tomorrow and coronavirus is thousands of people are. There's always going to be news out there. But if it's severe news, then all bets are off. But this is an area we're going to be very active in. And I have a feeling, and I'm looking at the futures tonight, they're up here, they're up 75. We'll see how we open up. Remember, the futures open up at 6. They go throughout the evening. And there's a couple time frames. If you're really into trading and you like to trade and and if you have the platform here, get in that chat room around 3 o'clock in the morning. I know not everyone on Eastern Standard Time. You're probably not going to do that, but from around the world, a lot of people tune in around the world and get in that chat room around 3 o'clock. That's when the European market opens up. The moves happen are going to be big moves. Like I'm almost considering getting up at 3 o'clock just to be able to trade that zone, because it's going to be a great move in the market. It could be up, it could be down, but it's going to be moving, and that's when the volume is going to come in. Now there is a lot of volume in this market right now because of the circumstances out there, so you don't have to even worry about that. I'm not like I usually worry about 3 o'clock trading. If the market's dead overnight, you usually wait for that 3 o'clock trade to come around when the European markets open up, and you have some more volume and more liquidity in the market, and that just gives the charts and the divergence set up much better. But in this case, you don't really have to do that. You have a great fluid market right now. The liquidity's in it. You can easily trade it. You can easily see everything, and it's not a big deal. So, all right, that was my first breath. So I'm curious to see what happens tomorrow. Now, when we're talking about some stocks, I have a couple indicators that I'm always kind of running on my TC2000 reversal indicators, and I'm not seeing a lot that tells me there's a huge reversal, but because there's so many technical chart levels that are lining up here, I do like this area. I'm not going to make a call that we're going to explode, but I would say I'm going to make a call around this 200 period moving average. We get a 200 period moving average touch or a breakdown through it and close back above it, something where we have a tail or a decent reversal candle, which is always a qualifying thing for me. That's why I really do look for these reversal candles. It means where we take out the previous low but close on our candle up to the high, and lots of times we close back into the previous candle 50% higher into that previous day's candle. So if we actually have that candlestick drop tomorrow and we bounce back up, that would be a nice reversal, and I think you would have to be very taking advantage of the situation. Truth is, there's always fear before you go up, and it always comes back. I mean, it's just the media hyped. It's just unbelievable how much the political division and the media that continues to grab onto these stories and really shove it down our throats. The coronavirus, the political division, like I said, this is a technical level. Unless there's more news out there, this is going to be something to pay attention to. Now, how are we going to profit on that? Well, it definitely gets volatile if you're trading the futures and some of the options. But if you're looking at some individual stocks, and I'm going to throw a few out to you right now. Big fan of the Merck here. Now, the Merck, of course, it's a drug company. It has a nice little downward channel. It started coming back to even into this coronavirus pullback. It's pulled back up. It pulled back into the channel. Now, again, it did pull back here with the news, but it's staying within this downward channel. I have to, watch this hold. I want to see this thing hold, but I think if we could hold this channel, start moving back up, we're actually going to break out and start moving back up. They have the Keytruda drug. I would look for this to move back up towards the 200 period moving average and breaking out of this downward channel. The only negative here is that crossover here, the stochastic rotation here. I haven't looked at this on the weekly, but at the weekly here is oversold and starting to move back up. So we have kind of mixed things. But this is one that I am looking to continue to buy. I do have some Merck calls going out. And again, the AUPH and the EXEL, some of these drug stocks that got hit. This one's a really good company. I have the calls going out to January, so I'm not really being affected too much by the moves this early in the year. So I'm fine with that. The same thing with the EXEL. EXEL, right? Excel? Yes, there it is. And the same thing here. Good company. We're in it all through this 17, 18. It's actually pulled back to my original levels, but I do like this opportunity here. And again, I'm expecting some good FDA announcements out of their key, one of their trials that's coming up in probably in a couple months, less than a couple months. I was just going through some ideas here, and one of the ideas I didn't think about, with this whole Corona thing. I don't know if where you are, but from where I am in New York, everyone I talk to is like, "Oh my God, there's no toilet paper. There's no toilet paper." So I just looked up. I said, "Oh, I never thought about looking at who makes the toilet paper." Well, it's Kimberly-Clark. Is one of the biggest toilet paper personal products. And look at their chart. Look at their stock. It's amazing. It's in great shape here. KMB. The other one is Procter & Gamble, PG. Let's just take a look at that one while we're looking at both of these. Procter & Gamble hanging in there pretty good. The Clorox, of course, has the bleach. Clorox bleach. So, of course, that's going to be very nice. And as you can see, that's at the highs, too. So, and then the other one is Georgia Pacific. And I'm not sure if that's a public company or not. I don't think so. I mean, I know all my companies. Georgia. No, it's not. Georgia Pacific. Nothing. So they might. So that Kimberly-Clark is kind of interesting. KMB. Kimberly-Clark. It's hanging in there pretty good. They're probably going to have good sales the next quarter from the coronavirus. Something to think about. Just something to think about. I'm looking at some. I'm just going through my big list tonight. I told you I was going to go through my master list, and I have a lot of stocks here. I'm just amazed at how strong some of these stocks were. We're watching this IR train technologies, and look at this thing, how these things drop. They must be connected to the oil. But these are just getting murdered. Everything. I've not seen too much here that I really like other than the ones that we're pointing out. Here's the IWM. That's the index, the Russell 2000 index, the small caps, JBT, Johnson & Johnson, JP Morgan, even the banks getting killed. Here's personal products. Again, these are more of a consumer defensive sector, and it is. It's actually holding up pretty good for defense. Cali Pharmaceuticals. I'm in that one. We're in it. I think there's some members in it. We talked about we have a big portfolio, or at least a nice holding of certain drug stocks that are coming out with FDA information this month. So every month I'll list out what the current stocks are and what we're waiting for on FDA approved drugs in the pipeline, and which usually buy some shares of this. And this happened to be working out. I have 700 shares of this, and it popped $2 today. And I expect it to continue to move higher. And you can see after hours here, it is moving a little higher. It's back up to 810. We'll see if it continues to move tomorrow. We could break through 9. They have a dry eye drug. And as you can see where this thing, recent IPO, I can see it actually getting up here, getting back up above $10. I wasn't in a rush to sell this. Normally I get news, I'm in, I get a nice profit, I'm selling it. But in this case, I read up on it. I mean, they got top line results. They're going to go for their their new drug application, and there's some good things on this one. So that's actually holding up pretty good. I like that one. Kraft Heinz. Well, I'm just going through it. Here's the Kimberly-Clark. Just speaking about that. Coca-Cola. If Coca-Cola came out and defeated Corona, that would be great. And I'm just going through these real fast. This is how I do my kind of fast thing. I'm not I'm familiar with everyone, but I'm not interested in any type of retail. The LABU is the biotech, which is not bad. It's an ETF, 3 times the IBB, and it could be, worth looking at down here. I want to write that one down, and we'll concentrate it on. We'll look at this tomorrow. LABU. That might be something to look at. But everything else here, just going through it real fast. Liongate Films. Laboratory Corp of America, again with the DGX, which is Quest Diagnostics. Both of those are good testing. Eli Lilly, another drug company. Drugs are hanging in there. Airlines, not that well, but this is the best of the best, LUV. And, I kind of like the LUV. I know it doesn't sound right with the Corona, but this is kind of the domestic airline, Southwest Airlines. It seems to be holding the lows here, and I like that. So, 43 to 47, I don't think that's a bad trade. So we're going to be focused on that one tomorrow, LUV, Southwest Airlines. I actually do like this one. Macy's and MasterCard is always a great one. I mean, that's something that you might want to consider picking up some shares. These are the ones that should come back pretty good. McDonald's, of course, is out there. Mondelez, I'm not interested. Again, not much out there. 3M, not really interested. But they make the 3M, they make those surgical masks. Petroleum stocks, no. And here's the Merck. You know I like the Merck a lot here. Keytruda. Navistar, not much going on there. NCR, National Cash Register, nothing going on there. Nike. I mean, these were all great shorts at one point. Rubbermaid. Oil service sector, the OIH ETF, got crushed. Got crushed. It's all the way down here to 498. That's really, really cheap. Let's just go back and take a look at where this thing came from. Oh my God. Oh well. Occidental Petroleum. I admit, I kind of like this off of this trend line, but did not see the you know, the OPEC and the Saudi thing. You know, that was a surprise attack on this. So these options OXY are worthless. I had some options in this. It's junk now. So I'm not getting back into the oil sector. But I do like that LUV. Panasonic, PEG, PepsiCo. You know, these are all, I just how I go through these real fast. Some IPOs, Packaging Corp of America. This is kind of an interesting one. Down here at 37, Anaplan. I want to write that one down because we had a good trade on this back in the day. We traded this one all the way up. Got out up here. We haven't looked back at it. We gapped down. I was considering it. I stepped away. Now it has that gap down, but it looks like the selling's drying up here. We're back down into this consolidation area before it had good earnings and it just ran. It ran from like 45 to 65. It's all the way back down to 37. This is kind of interesting to me. This actually is nice. Like I'm talking maybe, you know, just get a small quarter position, an eighth of a position just to be safe. So plan is actually looking pretty good. Public storage, Price Smart, Phillips 66, nothing. Ralph Lauren. Oh, here's the RSG. That's the waste management. It's another garbage company. That's always good. Raytheon breakdown. You know, the aerospace and defense stocks have been strong and could come alive here. Lockheed Martin is one of the best ones, and I like that one. $352 a share off of 440, almost 100 points off of that. It's a nice little haircut. If you liked it back here, you know what they say. You gotta like it now. And I think that's it. We went through all those stocks. We went through. Well, I didn't go through my ExxonMobil, Walmart. Oh, there's a waste management. It's another one. Veru. We might, you know, gonna probably start looking at Veru again. And Visa. I don't want to make the video too long, so I want to send that out. I am circling a couple of the plan. I want to show you the COUP. These software companies we like a lot. COUP got hit. Plan and a plan looks good. COUP looks good. And Team is another one. We've traded these all in the past. As you can see, I can see some of my charts are just filled out from areas where we're interested in. This is kind of interesting here off the 200 period moving average. And here's Zoom Video. See how that held up. That's been holding up pretty good. You know, telecommunication is going to be the new thing if this virus sticks around. What I'm hearing and I'm reading up on, the virus is actually kind of subsiding in China. That's going to, you know, I think we're going to peak out on this virus very soon. And when that happens, you know, we might actually see this these stocks here kind of pull back. So I'm not going to test my luck on that one. All right. So I just want to get some of these things out. We'll be doing this full time tomorrow. I'll get into the market. I'll get into the office really early tomorrow, and we'll take a look at the futures right now. Oh, look at that! There was a nice little divergence bot on the bot. The bot kicked the ass today. Excuse the language, but it was really, really good. Really identifying the divergences for short-term scalpers on the show today. So also look at that. And I know I'm getting that code together. It's going to be handed out. I'd like to do it this week, so I did not forget about you. Just been busy with the trade show. Trading's been crazy, and I think we're going to settle in and get some stuff done this week. So I want to get this video out to you. Hope you had a great weekend. If you're new to the site, welcome. If you have any questions or anything, you could email me or Paul at dtrs@daytradingradio.com. That's dtrs@daytradingradio.com. And we're broadcasting live each and every day, starting at 8:30 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, going the full day till the close at 4 o'clock. And as you can see, this is going out at 10:30 at night, and we're doing an update. So enjoy it. I'll see everyone tomorrow in the markets.